Alright, let's get the score up there. Well, the best of up there. As it is a very important best of 5, so we need to know. That is a qualifying match. Whoever wins is on their way to IEM. The top left is the Red Terror, and it is TY. In the bottom right is the Blue Protoss. It is Classic. We just saw TY take down Deer with apparent ease. A rather quick 2-0. Classic, on the other hand, had to take down Solar in a PvZ. TY already in the mindsets for taking down a Protoss, is going for a proxy on Parasite. Not too surprising, but considering we might just have 5 games here, a back and forth series, hopefully, I don't think we'll see TY proxy say as much Maru. Classic is going to scout, and what will be his reaction? I think we'll see a stronger performance from Classic. He's been top Protoss every now and again, if not the top Protoss every now and again. And in order to be one of the top Protosses of 2018, you got to be able to deal with the proxies. You got to. Some people like to be aggressive and clap back on them, you know. Some other people just play defensive. Just go into their little robos and their little Stargates. Usually not Twilight Council, though, which is, I think Deer made a mistake, really, going for Twilight Council in that last game we just saw. I guess technically it might be able to work in some of the scenario, but it's like one of the hardest ways to make it work. Because you never really know what type of proxy they're doing. You think you do, and then they build a second factory, you know? So this Cell had to be made to deal with the Reaper, but the Reaper has still gotten a kill. Adept now pops out. TY is going to bother going for the second Reaper, which is a choice. You don't have to, and in fact, many Terrans don't. But TY does. It's not a bad map for Reaper harassment. There is a little hop-up spot back here, and a rather wide lip of the main base, so it's a decent choice. He is going for a factory expand, so factory back at home means that you have the potential to macro, and then on top of that, you actually do take guys at a gas, so you get the expansion, boom, there you go. Not too committed of an opener, it doesn't do a whole lot. It's already forced, I guess, an additional chrono, maybe on a gateway that was otherwise not wanted, but now that Classic kind of feels it out. Okay, saw the command center. Gonna go back to chronoing the probes. Starport now on the way along with the second barracks. Is going to swap over to build. Well, hold on. Question mark. Raven or Banshee? Okay. Tricky. Tricked me. It's going to be... excuse me. It's going to be a Liberator and then actually going into a Cyclone. A second Cyclone, so... I mean, 1 does give you a sense of security along with the double Reapers to continue scouting, but 2 is going to give you even more security, I suppose. I'm actually a little surprised it wasn't a tank. TY does not know about this proxy pylon. He does not know about any further aggression potential, I suppose, from Classic. He knows about the Stargate, which doesn't usually go into a big attack at the front, but it can. You know, you bring the Adepts forward, you open a couple of Adepts that are suddenly a bit closer than you would expect. You bring in 2 Oracles, and okay, yeah, it can do damage. It can do damage. But I'm not really sure what the proxy pylon is for. Maybe just scouting. You know, 100 minerals to get a Scout and a Liberator, as well as... as well as potential warp-ins later on, but that was a really nice kill for TY. Had the second Cyclone, so I guess he had 1 Cyclone per base to go ahead and get that lock on, not risk losing SCVs because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then the Liberator, oh, she actually helped kill an air unit. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? I'm so proud of you. You go, girl. But now that Classic knows there's a Liberator, not that it was that big of a surprise, he is going to go ahead and set that Phoenix up in position. He's probably going to get 1 Phoenix regardless, but now it's going to be really on guard. Second Oracle comes in, but there's 2 Cyclones. Oh, but the second one is not going to lock on, so this Oracle does live. A scan would have made it a little bit lower, I think, but not worth it. The Liberator over here is going to give an alert to any Oracle coming in. Not that it would be able to kill it on its own. TY is up to 3 barracks. He is finally going into that tank production. We're building a bit of a wall, I guess, on the front lines. Classic on 3 bases. Just about. Robo, Twilight Council Forge, all that good stuff coming down here. Setting up what is going to be a longer TVP. It's Parasite. And if TY were to go for a 2-base all-in, he would have to... Well, he'd probably pull the SCVs and just try and do it in one shot, right? He wouldn't really have a strong rally. You do have some SCVs being pulled, but not really a 2-base all-in type. So third CC might be coming down on that third itself. Cyclones found or the Liberator found, whichever one, the pylon. If it is going to be a committed attack to the front that you're purely paying attention to, you don't plan on just leaving once you realize that they're okay, good to go, then you don't want 2 adepts ruining your day. You want to be entirely focused on the micro that's going down on the front lines and not having your macro interrupted. Scan reveals the natural. It's an interesting scan. It does see the gases, which I guess if Classic was doing like a ton of charge lots, like, you know, the Zest is done, I guess there wouldn't be 2 gases there, but it maybe was checking more so for technology. Doesn't really find it, just a Robo, which is to be expected. TY gets his tanks up in position, which is nice. Liberator is currently destroying probes at the natural. Maybe he was checking to see if there was defense there. As I guess it was like the Viking or something? I don't have a Viking. The Viking's over here. Oh, it was Reapers that killed stuff in the main. So that was nice. You know, that Classic was already kind of prepared for something like that. It's not like he had a ton of units waiting. But it still gets 13 probe kills. And, well, he just didn't have enough units in general to hold against this. This ends up being an easy pickoff. Third Nexus going to go down. And now we even have bunkers being done. I don't know if TY plans to commit to the natural beyond this. It's a lot of time to C-chop forward and build more bunkers. But something more important is happening here. Classic going for the counter-attack. Currently supply blocked, trying to squeeze out a Warp Prism, but that has to make its way across the map to actually help. Scan of the natural reveals that an army is not there. It could have missed it. Could have been all over here. At the same time, the army reveals itself to the bio on the natural. It doesn't have stim, but it does have combat shields. It'll help a little bit against what is not really that big of a Protoss army, which is also not that big of a Terran army, right? So it is a little scary. Cyclones come forward and are instantly taken out here, but a Widowmine pops off and helps on the front lines. Only 4 SCVs have been killed. Warp Prism finally arrives. It's a little bit late. Yeah, not able to warp in, loses expensive sentries, saves most of the Stalkers, I suppose. And they do finally have Blink, but overall, it doesn't feel very worth it. A single bunker was left over here with an SCV, okay. Just keeping tabs on what could be a replacement third Nexus, but still seeing no replacement. TY must be feeling pretty good about this game. He's killed the Nexus. He's defended the counter. He has his own third base turning into an orbital right now, and he still has 2 tanks alive to help in the defense. I think TY is good to go. The Classic really investing a lot into this. He's going for the push. He's doing it. And it actually worked. He takes out the tank pretty damn quickly there. That was a very bold Widowmine drop. It was all on Stalkers. That would not have worked out. These Stalkers with their Blink Micro can work well against Bio, but that is upgraded Bio with full upgrades, combat shields, Marauder Slow, Stim, everything. But it is not enough. There's just too many damn Stalkers. How many gateways is this? This is 8 gateways, and third CC gets taken out here as TY a little overconfident. I was with him, though. I thought that was going to be enough Bio to take care of things, but not so much. Maybe if the 2 tanks are still alive and helping with the push would be different. But 1 tank going down instantly. This one barely helping here. The Widowmine drop is going to commence into the natural, and that's going to be a lot of probe damage. Classic is purely paying attention to the Stalker fight. Boom, boom, and 1 more boom. 1 more boom on the Stalker. And a probe. That is a almost 20 worker lead for our Terran, despite losing the 3rd orbital. Still 2 base with 2 base, so TY should still be feeling confident in this game. In a perfect world, he lifted that 3rd CC and played a little more reserved, but it's still okay for him. Now at about 30 armor supply increase, I think TY is legitimately good to go this time. Like, I didn't think Classic was going to win as good as he did, as well as he did in the last fight, but it wasn't like out of the realms of possibility. Obviously, it was what happened. But this is a fight that I feel more confident saying, okay, no, he just wins this. He just wins it. It's not close, or maybe it is close, but it doesn't matter because he wins it. Oh my god. Thank god it was me. There's something about video game fire sounds that I really like. This is actually kind of common. This poor guy. Well, it's not the worst time to drop out, I guess. It's not great either, though. The stalkers haven't blinked in yet, but it looks like they're kind of gearing up to do so. Poor guy. Oh, they didn't blink in. They had to blink out. Tank continues to damage. Now hitting the whole damage, the whole life of the stalkers. And there are a ton of Widow Mines waiting in case that was an aggressive blink. War Prism in the main base is forced to recall. Got so low. Stalkers over here just going to try and pick off what they can. Force out stims so that maybe when they finally do engage, the army's already too stimmed to compete. It's the best you can do with Stalkers at this point. Classic did finally throw down that Nexus and, well, more importantly, is starting to build up probes for it. It's been done for a little while, I guess. Wouldn't mind drop hit that too, though, and he's still down 7 workers. Charge, just about halfway down with that +1 armor. Might be something to contribute to the fights. But TY still has Widow Mines with this army. Still has just a large army in general. Is there really a comeback here for Classic? TY also eagerly jumping to that 3rd base with his main. Not that it's run out of minerals or gas. Still got a lot to do, but it is going to a healthier mineral line. And now he doesn't have to worry about the SCVs running out of minerals. He can just focus entirely on this. Widow Mine pops off on Stalkers before they can blink. Two-sided attack that could turn into a sandwich as Charge finishes up here, but it could also turn into a slaughter of the Stalkers if they're a little mistimed. Upgrades are all going to be done for both parties. TY now going into a Ghost Academy. A lot more of his army is ready to go this time. Still producing 3 more at a time. Now producing Liberators as well. Maybe for harassment. Maybe for the direct attack. Ugh. Wow, 4 ghosts all at once. Classic doing a great job making this into a game. After losing the 3rd Nexus, after not killing the Terran right off the bat. Oh, 4 Prism once again going to get recalled out. Classic did everything that you should. He kept his Stalker Ball alive to force out stims to at least put some pause on the counterattack that TY was setting up for. And by doing so, his bottom time to go for Charge, Armor, and now even on his way to Storm, which is a natural thing for him to go up against, well, to go up to, and thus it is a natural thing for TY to build Ghosts. Now, can the Stalkers pick off the Ghosts? That's going to be a real challenge. There's 4 of them, not just 1. They blanket the Sentry is also a good choice. They're actually avoiding each other's armies right now. Okay, the Marines were scouting for harassment, but they found a gigantic army ready to go. Remember, Classic just used his recall on the War Prism, so he should not have that for another 30 seconds. This is a very dangerous thing for Classic to do. He wants to cancel that 3rd CC. Not that he knows about it, but he would love to. Nice scan reveals the Observer. Did that see the 3rd CC? Not didn't.
Research complete.
Bunker is in fact gone. Liberator in the natural. Let's get a couple probes. Oh, more importantly, the fight goes down. Classic tried to force field off the arm, and he did force field off a portion, but still so much bio with stim and medevacs in the ground. All of his sentry energy has been used. His War Prism comes forward. He does have Storm. That's going to be super effective. So much of the army was taken out, cut in half like that. In fact, some of the army was still stuck in a medevac, but here comes some more. TY still has the army advantage, and those are all the Storms gone. Archons being targeted down before many of them could even contribute to the fight. That will be most of the army, if not all the army of Classic, gone. And while that almost turned into a good fight, it could have been so much better. Imagine if the force fields had worked out and he had gotten a bulked up amount of bio with those Storms. That would have been a supreme difference maker. Instead, TY, not as dominant as you would think, but still convincingly takes the fight. Ghost ended up being absolutely perfect in number. And GG, TY takes game number 1. Strong start. The classic, really commend his play there. When you're down to just stalkers versus bio, upgraded bio, not weak, flimsy bio without medevac, something like that. You're not feeling so good. You're a little scared. But you buy time. You scare the Terran into staying at home or running around chasing the stalkers. Because if the stalkers weren't, at the very least, doing that whole, like, run around, let's, like, try and get you to stim a lot. If they weren't doing that, then they were initiating a potential base race, which makes things really complicated, which is something that Classic needed to do, was make things complicated. You know, he gets in the natural and kills 20 SCVs or a command center, puts TY down to 1, recalls back home with the stalkers and barely holds. That was also a potential, and why TY had to chase down those stalkers, had to keep tabs on his side of the map. Despite having a very, very good army. The next map's going to be Cerulean Fall. Very popular, fast tank push map. I'd be shocked not to see something like the last series build on this map from TY, which is an eventual push to the third. He didn't do it as fast as a lot of other Terrans are doing on this map, but he still did something like it. And Deer was really unable to hold. In the top right is the red Terran. It is TY. In the bottom left is the blue Protoss. It is Classic. Classic has shown a lot more tenacity versus TY in just one game, but he made it a longer game than I think Deer would have. I don't want to knock Deer just because he got 2-0'd pretty fast in one tournament. It doesn't tell his whole tale here, as he even got to face TY by killing 2 other pretty good names in the Korean scene. But comparatively, Classic is already performing a lot better. And I don't doubt that it'll continue to perform better. There's a reason Classic has made it to finals, won finals, has made its top 4s, has continued to be a very scary Protoss in all the metas, even if sometimes Zest or, more importantly, Stats has kind of outclassed everyone else. And it's why he's here instead of Stats as well, right? He's the one that made it to the winners bracket finals. Stats is still fighting it out in the losers. There you go. The really sad thing is that Classic, I mean, he's kind of an old player. I think he's 28. Maybe a little bit younger. But the point is, like, I believe this is his last year playing StarCraft. Same with Sue, I think, has also said similar things. And it's just like these guys nowadays, as so many of them were playing Brood War, for instance, Classic a Brood War player, they're just older pro gamers, right? Not old to us, but definitely as far as pro gamers go, it used to be that if you were past the point of even 23, you're starting to get over the hill. And nowadays we have lots of people going into their late 20s, maybe even their early 30s, if it wasn't for military service, that are still performing very, very well. Still at the top of their game, kind of proving the whole idea that it's not so much your mechanics that die down as much as it is life gets in the way. Pro gaming's still not a super fabulous, super steady career after all. For Koreans especially, they have military service to worry about. And then, you know, whatever else happens, girlfriends, family, I don't know, whatever. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, by the way, but I'm pretty sure it's Classic that said this is one of his last years. Now, that aside, we did have a gateway at the fronts, so in the same way that the tank pushes I was talking about tend to abuse the shortness of Cerulean Fall, Protoss early game also abuses it. There's not much you can do against this as the Terran player. Even if you're building 3 more Marines and instead of a reactor, there's a chance that you still miss micro, the Reaper still on the other side of the map, Stalker comes forward, and 3 Marines just die one by one. So it's there really isn't a super strong answer aside from putting the command center on the high ground, which doesn't really, it's not really worth it. In the same vein that this is delayed, it'd be the same if it was on the high ground. So like what, like maybe even worse actually. I don't know. I haven't done any testing. I haven't seen the numbers, but no pro Terran wants to build command centers on the high ground. This unfortunately is going to be let out of hand as the second stalker comes up here now. Classic did not stop producing from this gateway, but he still also went for the Oracle. TY should be feeling that out right now, like, oh shit, like if he went for Stargate, I might be in trouble here. He doesn't know about it. The Reaper's finally getting in here to get some revenge. He should be very wary of the worst case scenario, which in this case would be an Oracle, as Blink follow-up would still be waiting. And, well, Warp Prism, I guess, could come forward. I don't know if it would be that scary. Oracle comes in, tries to get damage done. It does. It delays the supply depot, kills an SCV, but oh, gets popped off by the Widow Mine. That is worthwhile, especially because the Widow Mine's gonna live. Fox doesn't have that high ground vision to kill it. Cyclone finally popped out, and while that was a long delay in the natural command center, at least TY is gonna get some revenge here. Nice control on the Cyclone, not to give it away. As sometimes you look at how quickly you're killing the Stalker and think, oh god, Cyclones are good. And then they die to like 2 units, and you're like, oh god, Cyclones suck. So good control there for TY to save that, kill the Oracle, and the game continues on. But TY was certainly knocked down a peg. He had to, I think, go for some units, probably the Helen, where they really wouldn't want to have built that, and then maybe a bit of delay on supply or something like that with the Oracle. Will it ultimately contribute to the game? The eventual push we saw him do against Deer? I don't think so. Not nearly as much as this is going to contribute to Classic's defense. So not going for regular old Blink Stalkers, but instead going for Resonating Glaives, which really fell out for a long time, but I did see this yesterday. No, I saw it on Saturday, Sunday, something along those lines. So many qualifiers, y'all. So many. My point is, it's kind of coming back as that option that Terrans just aren't expecting, and as such, they're already a little less defended, less well-suited against. There we go. Because, like, I don't know, like, we'll see how it goes down, and then we can truly evaluate why it's a good choice or why it's not, why it has been sent out of the meta nowadays. But, well, we still got time to talk. Tank on the way, barracks on the way. Just some macro going down here. Adepts do require a different way of approaching the game. You know, you can't just micro against them with Marauders and slow like you would against the Charge Lots, where Maru dominated in the first half of 2018, because they have a thing called Shade. There are times where they go literally mass, like all-in Adept counts, and you are supposed to be defensive against it, not aggressive, which can be misread if you don't even know they're going for Resonating Glaives in the first place. I mean, when it was the thing to do, Terrans were figuring things out before they even scouted things, remember? But this is going to be the first time TY saw the Adepts. It is luckily a very good time to see it. Double drop is going to be able to get away. It cancels any potential Blink in the future, and that is one problem for this, is that you don't have Blink, and that TY saw how many Adepts there were. He's going to figure out there's going to be Resonating Glaives. He could just keep the Medivacs here, where if it was Stalkers, maybe he'd be more hesitant. Maybe he'd just send those back home and say, okay, I got what I wanted. Let's go back home. He is going to keep them here. He's going to go ready for a drop, and while there are some units ready to defend, killing that Twilight Council was a really nice snipe, along with a very powerful pylon. And that is being rebuilt now. We're going to start talking about this Adept attack. TY perfectly responding, is playing defensive, setting up a wall, getting Widow Mines. You get Widow Mines in general, right? But setting up the wall most importantly. And that is going to be a very helpful wall. I think the Adepts might have traded poorly even if there wasn't a wall. But that made it a lot safer for TY. His drop goes into the natural instead of the main. There were more Stalkers warped in, so the main would have been dealt with quite easily, but the natural attack ended up being a little bit clever. Attack over to the right side was scouted by the Oracles. The Adepts were recalled back to the third base, and Classic is not finding the surprise factor. He's not finding the damage that he really would want from this. I think overall the game's looking okay, and TY does have to kind of accommodate for this. Not just building 400 extra minerals worth of structures on his front line, or maybe he didn't want to, but more so in the pacing of the game is very offset than what we would usually see from a Blink opener or Charge Lot opener. But once you get to a decent amount of Widow Mines and bio, and once you read into the Protoss transitioning from adepts, like they're not just adding on more depths, you can do a push, which is exactly what TY is thinking he can do. He is right about it. Classic's been adding on those stalkers, but not yet with Blink. Blink would be done by now, along with the upgrade. So that's why Council still being a nuisance, having died earlier on. Wood Mines are easily cleaned up with a Revelation, and that is a big blow to TY's push, but he's not going to leave quite yet. He can kind of maneuver around here because so much of the army of Classic is still in those adepts that really they're most effective when they're shading on top of something. And they shade too far away from the stalkers, then they're just going to get obliterated. Oh boy, there's some really dumb chat going on today. I might join in after this game, but this game is far more entertaining. Marauders to the front, try and snipe off whatever unit they can. Adepts are not really killed easily by Marauders, but it's still a good little micro thing to do here until they get cut off by force fields. But even then, look, they survive. Wood Mines are covering the tanks. TY is going to try and split away from the adepts so that the Wood Mines don't splash his own army, and it's actually pretty effective. The frontline army, the most of the Marauders, right, get taken out, but the Wood Mines do heavily splash the adepts. One tank was taken out, but another one still lives. Another pickup on the medevacs in the front line. This is a 2-base all-in, by the way. TY added 2 more barracks, although he's not using them. It's not really a mistake. He just can't afford them. This is a really nice War Prism from Classic. The Adept's going to do an amazing amount of damage. He's also going to take attention away from TY. He needs to be paying attention so that he knows when to split away from the Adepts, when to focus fire his Wood Mines, if he can. Some Wood Mines go down to the front lines, but some of them get the splash that TY was looking for. SCVs are just pulled into the natural, where hopefully he can hold, but the mining is significantly reduced for TY. Meanwhile, Classic still mining off of 3 bases. Well, might still just lose the army fight. Wood Mines got another splash off. The Immortal goes down. Tank still lives. Liberators come in. Still a couple more Wood Mines as well. Probes are being pulled. Classic so desperate to hold on here. He knows the economy of TY is in tatters, but his army might not just be able to hold up. The tank moves forward, gets 1, 2 shots, 3 shots. Wood Mine gets a shot. Liberators get a couple shots before going down, and that's going to be it. The bio lives. The Stalkers do not. The medevacs are out of energy, but the Immortal gets taken out. The Adepts get taken out, and TY barely is going to be able to take out this 3rd base, but is that room, is that the position that Classic taps out in? I don't think so. His Warpins are still going here. You can pick these up once he realizes the bio is still around, but the War Prism, if that dies, that might be the tap out time. He needs that to distract. Ugh. Big loss of units there. War Prism capabilities also taken offline is a very big deal. This is a game where a couple of more SCVs die. A couple more rounds of production are stalled out, right? Suddenly, Classic takes an okay fight in the defensive. Maybe things can turn around. But without those very crucial elements, I think Classic is just out of luck here. He doesn't have Storm. He doesn't have a Sentry for Guardian Shield. He's barely getting the 2 Immortals. TY no longer having to worry about the War Prism is taking all of his army to the front lines. Where Liberator is now going to dominate the field. Only a single Stalker to help out. Force Field's trying to buy some time, at least for the 2nd Immortal. But what happens after that? Classic ain't on a great economy himself anymore. His production is not going to be cut down. Robo's gone. This is going to be the last hurrah. 1 Immortal already had its shields popped. It's not going to be as helpful. TY taking this very seriously. Just kites away from the probes. And then pounces once those are done with. That is going to be game. But damn, what a close game. Even an Adept got back in there to try and make something work out. But nope, TY takes game number 2. Good stuff. Good stuff. I think this is a caster. potential final map is going to be Automaton. For all the classic fans out there, know that he does have a second shot, and a rather good shot. As he gets sent down to the loser's bracket, he'll be, like, very close to the qualifying match, if not right on the edge. So you could still maybe get through. And if you were to ask me who do I hope gets through, I guess I would say Classic and TY. Or Zest and TY. Stats took out Parting, so took out Fantasy. And that's the updates. So got Automaton. TY. What is his third build against Protoss? He's kind of set up the build similar to his series versus Deer. A proxy and then a 2-base all-in on Cerulean Fall. So what does he do in the third game? Apparently not a proxy. In the bottom left, not sending an SCV out. Quite yet. It is the Red Terran TY. You can go with the supply to making SCV. Or a little bit earlier. In the top right, as the Blue Protoss, it is Classic. Now, I haven't been keeping up entirely with chat, but good lord, y'all, come on. Well, I see one comment here. Terrans have always been the most whiny. You know, as much as I want to say that's wrong because I think it's used in the wrong context, it's not necessarily wrong. I just feel like the accusatory tone is not called for. I mean, in before ZombieGrub Terran biased, right? But as a commentator, I like to think that I have maybe less bias, but that's you know, not necessarily true. So take it as you will. But there's one big reason as to why Terrans have whined as much for as long as they have, and it's not because of any particular imbalanced metas, although certainly there were some. Blink Stalker all-ins, anyone? Brutal Infestor, anyone? But more so that we had kind of undeniable proof that Terran was the... Oh boy. Am I gonna say it, guys? Am I gonna do it? Am I going there? How bad is Twitch chat gonna be with this one? The hardest race? And the reason purely being that Koreans have continued to dominate with Terran, whereas the foreigners have not. And whether you truly believe that Terrans, the foreigners, just need to get good sun and they need to stop complaining, or some other reason as to why that's not like maybe kind of showing that Terran can be the highest skill cap race, is that a better way to say it, guys? Then, you know, whatever your prerogative. But I feel like when they're just like, yeah, Terran always whines, you know, don't take them seriously. It's more like, well, kind of. Because, you know, when the foreigners say, hey, buff Terran, and the Korean Terrans are like, actually, we're still winning, that does complicate things, but I don't know. I just hate that sentence, the way that sentence is used. So I said that TY was going to proxy, but that was wrong. He ended up going for a 1-base build, and while he does now have guys off of gas, he did go all the way up to a starport, and is proxying the starport. So Classic, he saw that, he got in, saw second supply depot, no barrack, second gas. Might be thinking, okay, maybe it's like the first game on Parasite. Maybe this isn't so bad. But it's not. It's not like the first game of Parasite. TY is going to go for the Proxy Liberator, as well as Hellions. Now, Hellions are very useful defending against the Adept, but it's also nice that Classic was able to see that it's Hellions, because now he'll probably have more defense than his natural. At least I hope he will. He can't really put down more gateways at this point, though, as he puts them both in the main base, so there's not going to be any wall. And I think, even with the Prime setup, the epitome of anti-Liberator Hellion setups, I think you always still have trouble against it. It's a really hard attack to perfectly defend against. You're kind of hoping that the Hellions don't get the best shot or that the Liberator accidentally runs into a Stalker from the get-go. We'll see what happens. This is already less than ideal as far as the defense goes because there's no wall. The probes are going to be pulled and split. Okay! Okay. I see what you're doing there, Classic. I see you. That War Prism pickup was neat. Neato jet, guys. We need to do it again. Liberator got 5 probe kills. Hellions getting a few more. Going for the main base where there are units, but there's still 3 Hellions. And they do get an okay shot or 2. Total of 12 workers were killed. So as I said, even with the perfect setup, not that it was entirely perfect, it's still very hard to defend against that. By the way, as far as any other balance complaints go, I don't have any comment on that. Mine was just more about how people use the Terrans or the other whiners. That's what I'm kind of bothered by. So this SCV was a nice scout to see if a counterattack was underway, and there definitely is one. TY should be lifting that command center, I think. Well, no, I think he should lift it. Automaton is such a large natural that one tank doesn't get really good shots, and it doesn't cover your entire natural either. Second tank is out, and that helps a little bit. I think this was a bold move to try and handle the natural as is. So the command center has to be lifted eventually, but this is simply revenge for Classic. This is not TY going and taking an extreme amount of damage. In fact, TY is still up in workers. Should be quite comfortable here. The recall happens. How did it not recall that one adept? Wait, what? Am I crazy? That was right underneath the War Prism. How did that not... Do I not notice something about recall? Am I missing a crucial fact about recall? What the hell? Anyways. 2 Banshees come forward without cloak, but they still can one-shot the workers, and with only 1 Stalker firing at them, they're even going to live to take down a few more probes. The starport is finally taken care of. It was found by the Observer a little early on, but now it's being taken care of. There is no blink, so the Raven should be able to survive, but it's going to be a little tricky. The War Prism could try and chase after it. Banshee still being chased down are going to get away. TY's back to that natural and now has a more solid defense. And there is the Raven going to try and escape. There is a bit of dead space that it can go ahead and land on. Well, fly on. Starport is going to be taken out, but TY was probably thinking that was already going to happen. We normally stream tournaments, only when there's qualifiers. I see I did in fact rile up chat. I'm actually kind of proud of that. I'll take it. So far, TY deflecting every attempt that Classic can do to get back in this game. Classic only being up 1 probe is not a good situation for Protoss. Not unless their army supply was imbalanced the other way, but he's also down in army. So just not a strong game for Classic here, as he takes a lot of damage. What is going on here? He is going for the gold base of the Nexus. Oh, golly gee. That is a desperate move, but it might just be the right one. We'll see how that goes down. He's once again going into Resident Enclave Adepts, which again, you know, if TY doesn't scout this is the case, he could make a fatal error when it comes to being aggressive when he really shouldn't. And he could also not have defenses set up for the forced base race that some Adept players like to go for, which Classic might be thinking of. I don't know exactly what he's hoping to have happen with the Adepts, but there is a reason why he's going for them over charge or blink, right? Yeah, getting that blink. There you go. And the 2 strong choices, the 2 strong opportunities to come back in this game would be either to initiate a base race, hope that TY messes up in that regard, or hopes to find TY being overly aggressive when Classic has the spike of army supply, because Adepts are relatively cheap anyways. And TY gets pounced upon by the Shades. So TY doesn't know about that yet. He's seen everything you would see if someone's going for charge as well, I think. Yeah, Twilight Council Forge. Stalkers defending against drops and banshees, and I don't think he knows yet. Not that there's really anything to tell that TUI would know. He's scouting here. Unless he built a wall again. Because he's going to do what he's doing right now regardless of what composition he's up against. Tanks, Liberators, Combat Shields. Like, what a surprise. Scan goes down in the main base, both for the drop. The drop sees nothing to hold it back, so Stalker goes down, Probes will go down, Paladins will go down. Now he sees how many Adepts there are, and this is what Classic was kind of waiting for. It was also a perfect timing as he was literally about to do the attack anyways. Wall is set up in the main base, and that is very, 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 very important. If the Adept for both the natural and the main base, that's a lot of SCVs killed, even if eventually they're cleaned up. Oh my god. That's... Oh, the anti-air missile is so much more important. The command center almost went down, but the anti-air missile on top of Adepts, are you kidding me? Oh, wrecked, shreked, gone, boop, bopping, that's it. GG. I mean, Classic was already kind of caught in a really terrible location by being forced in there against what was most of TY's army, but then anti-air missile on top of that? Are you kidding me? Oh my god. The Raven alone might be the reason why Adepts don't make his way back into the meta. Huh. The command center is being repaired. Oh, okay, the War Prism is so close to death now. Now it's really being repaired because it was close to death. Even just a couple of Adepts. Army's forced to pull back, but Classic's losing his probes to something that he can't defend against, apparently? I don't think he was paying attention. Any probe mining he had at that third base is now gone. Cut down to 34 workers. TY, he's done it. He's gonna 3-0 Classic. I can't see a way for Classic to come back into this game. Here comes the final push, and the Raven is still included with another anti-armor missile. Oh, Adepts, you have no chance. I mean, the strength of Adepts is that they have the armor. The attack can also help out against the Marines and the SCVs, but really it's that they last so damn long. So even if you're on top of them, if they shade in the multiple locations, they're still doing SCV damage. You get into that classic, well, I don't have any SCVs, but I got an army scenario. Classic, man. That's not really happening here. Anti-armor missile not required. Just run into a bunch of very strong units. GG.